Well, I'm so thrilled to have Dr. Carmen Keith here with me. So, Dr. Keith, you own a clinic in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. Tell me about that.
Yes, thanks, Barbie. It's a pleasure to be here. Yes, I own a functional medicine wellness clinic in Cape Girardeau, Missouri. I am triple board certified. I am a Harvard trained doctor. I'm an anesthesiologist, a pain management physician, and a functional medicine doctor. I'm one of 1,000 in the world who actually have the functional medicine certification. About 2 years ago, it was exactly that I left the system of the hospital after being in it for 9 years,
Oh, wow.
and I decided that it was time to do something different. Of course, with the Lord's guidance.
Yeah, and to be your own boss, if you will.
Absolutely, yes. And so now, instead of reaching for the pharmaceuticals, I'm an integrative wellness doctor. And so I'm able to help people get to the root of their problem and help them tailor what their body needs to help it heal. I mean, Barbie, when we give the body what it needs to heal, it will heal itself, right?
Right. Yeah. So I'm so interested to hear this because you were introduced to this company, Asea, with redox signaling molecules. Now, had you as a physician, have you ever heard of redox signaling molecules before? Is this something that you studied? Tell me about this.
Sure, yeah. So redox biochemistry is taught, and it's tested on, but it's not necessarily applied in medicine, if you will. Like, I didn't know that some chemotherapeutic drugs actually work off of redox biochemistry, and that is absolutely true. But we all have learned it. It's just, did we recognize it as redox biochemistry? I explain it to people simply. Those are big fancy words, but if you've ever seen a flower bloom, well, the sun's energy was turned into a bloom, right? Grass growing. It's the same principles that make gas make your car go down the road. It's redox principles. And
Mhm.
when we apply that into the body, it's fabulous. And so the answer is I had, but it's just because I did a lot of science studying through my career.
Yeah, and so then you start hearing about redox signaling molecules, and about the same time, your dad was dealing
Mm.
with a major health challenge. Tell me about that and your choice to actually give your own father this.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was introduced to ASEA in April. And I did what every good doctor does. I ignored my colleague. Actually, it was a fellow doctor that gave me a heads up on ASEA, Dr. Ann Uhls, in fact. And we laugh about it now, but it was not funny that I ignored her. But I did my research. And what kind of tipped me over during that was the consistency of what I kept finding, along with the consistency of listening to the ASEA corporate team and the scientists there. Well, I started taking it, and I was taking it, and I felt that my sleep was better and my brain fog improved. Okay. Well, my dad had been sick. That was in May that I started taking it. My dad had been ill since February the 20th. And not too long after I started taking it, I gave it to my mother because she was his caregiver. She was living at the hospital. And a couple of weeks after that, this brings us to late May, mom calls and says, well, they say that they can't do anything else for dad. Now, dad had been struggling for that length of time. So literally from February 20th until June in the hospital.
Mhm.
Had been given a 10% chance of living, 10%. And I don't believe in accidents. And mom goes, Carmen, what are we going to do? And I said, Mom, this is good. This is when I get to start. And she goes, what are we going to do? That blue bottle? And I said, yeah, we are. Because you see, by the time that had come around, I had already ran this through my pharmacist friend's brain. And she's like, I can't believe it. It doesn't interact with anything, no diseases, no pharmaceuticals. She's like, I am more comfortable with you giving this than many of the drugs that I've seen you write.
Wow.
So I simply told Mom, let's get it in his mouth. Let me paint the picture for you. Dad was, he had a feeding tube in his nose. He did not know us. He had not eaten in 5 weeks, and he was basically just existing in this hospital room. I said, Mom, put it on a sponge like you put water in his mouth, and put the Asea on it and put it in his mouth. And so she started doing it. In about a week, he got his feeding tube out and he started eating full meals. Again, he hadn't done that in 5 weeks. The doctors couldn't believe that he kept a whole meal down without getting sick. And at that time, then I said, okay, Mom, keep increasing his volume and keep doing the gel, because I recognized that the gel was twice as powerful as the liquid. So in someone who can't drink, the gel is great.
Yes.
Putting it on his carotids, we started putting on his belly, we started putting on his spine. And so a week after that, he got out of his chair and he walked 250 feet unassisted. Okay. This qualified him for inpatient rehab. And 2 days prior to that, he was told he would never make it to rehab and he had to go to a nursing home for 3 months. And so he qualified for inpatient rehab and he walked out of there on July the 3rd and came home. Now, we all hear about the story of Asea, and we all hear that, Mr. Norton, that he gave 43 people, and of those 7 people were on hospice, and of those 6 are alive today. Well, I'm telling you, my story is my dad. My dad is added to those numbers. And so Asea provided a healing avenue for my dad and my family that we never would have had. And so understand, Barbie, Asea came into my life for me. Asea is in my life for everybody else that I'm able to help with it. And number one was my dad. And he's doing great. He's able to drive again. The doctors actually call him the miracle man. And this is at a major tertiary care center, like where the guys wrote the textbooks. Okay. But have I told them what we chose to do? Absolutely not. There's no need in that. It's thank you for taking care of my dad. We've got him home now, and on down the road we go. Right. So yeah, it's been incredible.
And it's probably because going back to what you literally said just a few minutes ago, you studied it, but not in this particular form. So if we're waiting on our doctor to tell us about redox signaling molecules, are you saying that's probably not going to happen?
Oh, absolutely, Barbie. So I'll tell it to you like this, okay? If you're waiting for your doctor to tell you about Asea redox, you're going to be dead before they do. Just look at the pattern of medicine. It takes 40 years for something to come mainstream. And so, add 40 years to whatever age you are, understanding the average amount of time we live in this country is 79.4 years. So if you're older than that, when you add 40, you're never going to hear about it. Okay. And so that's the beauty of what the Nortons have done with this. They have put this into our hands to help those that our system can't help, right? Think about stem cells. Stem cells, remember Dolly the sheep? That was in the 80s.
Yeah.
It seems like yesterday. But even that's not mainstream. Even that is still highly, highly debatable topics in medicine. So this has the potential to change the landscape of the healthcare system as we know it.
Wow.
Period. End of story. Because it's native to the body. And there's nothing else like it. Nothing else like it.
And so based on, you're a Harvard Medical School trained doctor, triple board certified. You obviously saw the benefit in joining this company, even with all the training and all the certifications that you have. And I'm assuming that's because with your patients, you want to help them in any way possibly that you can. And for some patients, pharmaceuticals may not work, but this will not hurt you. Redox won't hurt you.
That's right. And yeah, so I look for anything that could help one person, right? But I have such a heart for this because it helps someone so close to me. And that really helped me to go, you know what? This can help many more people that I have in my clinic who aren't as severe as my dad is. Remember, when you are up against the wall, right? When you're in those moments of desperation, something falls into your life. It's your choice to use it, and it's your choice not to. And so I just applied principles my dad taught me, which is, if the door opens, you better go in and look around, right? It's safe. It won't harm you. Will it help you? Can't hurt you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right? And you have to think about, what are your expectations when you start Asea? And I set these with my patients. I have no problems helping patients to understand that this is a great avenue to get you down the road. And I have no problems giving it to my patients at all. But with that and with anything comes expectations. So what are your expectations of this? If you expect that an ailment you've had for 50 years is just going to go away by drinking 132-ounce bottle of this, I'm sorry, but that's not a realistic expectation.
No.
You are expecting to not feel a little worse before you get better. Well, I'm sorry, but that's not realistic because of how the body works. You are in a sick, toxic state. And for that to get better, you have to sweep out the floors. And when you sweep out, the dust is going to fly up. You're going to inhale it. You're going to cough. You're probably going to get a little nose runny, sinus issues. But you know what? It's going to go away when the dust settles, right? And so that's what the Asea. And so we have to recognize what our expectations are of it. And then also expectations of the company, expectations of each other. And I tell people, hey, maybe Asea is not in your life to give you that home run of a health improvement story. It will improve you. To what extent will remain? Because it depends on you. Are you going to stop in the 7th of 8 laps? Are you going to stop when your miracle is just around the corner, right? Maybe Asea is there to be your family. It is finally the group of people of like-mindedness that you feel like you belong to. And maybe Asea is in your life for you to become the human that you are to become on this earth so that you can help the next person. If you think Asea is in your life just for you, oh man, your heart, that's being so selfish. It's for everybody that's going to come into contact with you. And to not share the message, I feel like we have an ethical and a moral obligation to share this message. And no matter what role we are, I happen to be a doctor, but you have to be a doctor to do this. You don't have to be a doctor to understand I have a choice in my health and I choose this for right now.
Well, and that's the last thing that I'll mention to you, Carmen, before I let you go is if you don't tell somebody about Asea Redox, somebody else will suffer. Is that kind of how you see this? That if you're not telling other people about this, whether as a non-physician or as a physician in your everyday workplace, somebody down the line will suffer.
Right, and that's true. And so it's just up to you to be the messenger. We're messengers of all sorts of things. We're messengers of good movies, of a good restaurant in town, of a good doctor. We all talk. It's all word of mouth. And so why not open your mouth and say, you know what, this has helped me in so many ways. What I will advise people not to do is not to go to their doctors and, for lack of a better term, throw up on them, because you're not going to single-handedly get your doctor to change the way that they practice. It's not going to happen because of the system that they're in. But for someone like me who has decided to unplug from the system traditionally, we are the ones who have capability to reach those in the health seeking industry there. So just, go to your doctor, get your good results and say thanks. And hopefully they'll say, keep doing what you're doing. See you next year.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Carmen Keith, for spending a little bit of time with me with this short interview.
Oh, you're welcome, Barbie. My pleasure.